I can start off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, I'm Kamini here. Expand video. Okay, I want to see comments.
Comments will come here now. And video update.
Sure.
You want me to expand it?
No, that's okay. This is
Yeah,
fine.
this is fine. Angle was fine. Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Kamini here. So we are here to start talking about bringing the topic of parenting and the difficulties or the challenges that we as parents have faced with children. Today I am going to keep it to an age group of say between 7 to up to 13 or 14 years. Right now what I'm getting is many parents in that age group, because till about 6 the children are kind of small, still growing, and these are children who did not go to school in the COVID period kind of a thing. So till 6 they kind of got away with a lot of things. They're still babies. Somehow at the age of 7 the schools start zoning in, almost like the focal light has been turned on all the bad behaviors or all the behaviors that are unacceptable to the schools or to the society or to other children in general. So what happens is many parents are coming and talking to me about yelling, screaming, feeling out of control, slamming doors and all those things. So when I speak with children, I start with asking a few questions, but not directly, because at the age of 7, it's kind of a little expression. The ability to express is there, but in their own words, in their own ideas, in their own thoughts, which the world may not understand. You or I may not understand. The parent may understand a bit, but not all. And the parent may interpret it based on their understanding of how their life was. So the child is in a very, let's say, soupy state. So imagine asking a child what frustration looks like. Let me ask you as a parent what frustration looks like to you. When I ask what frustration looks like to you, you yourself would be, and as an adult, as a parent, have a challenge about understanding or addressing what frustration looks like. So you can add in the comments what frustration looks like to you. And then many parents also talk about tone. The tone that we use, the tone that the child uses in communication. Many of these tones are acceptable or forgivable at home. But what happens is when we use these things in outside world, the outside world objects, they are like, what is that tone? Why are they talking like that to me? That doesn't sound respectful. You understand, you may have heard it or you may have seen it in their facial expression. How do you address that? How do you teach the tone, the appropriate tone to your child? And that too in today's times of gentle parenting. Do we know that idea of gentle parenting is scary, because it looks like we have a misunderstanding or an understanding about we should not shout at the child, we should not object to anything the child says. It's almost like the child should know how to grow himself or herself. So how do we flip this script? And when I say flip the script, it is like, this is what when we are young parents, what happens is our own parents will tell us what we should do. So there will be a lot of good intention interference from our learned, experienced parents. And when these learned, experienced parents come into our life, it is almost like they take away our power or our independence or our ability to parent our child. And in some families where they live as joint families, or where there is lot of this asking for suggestions or help, or even babysitting when the grandparents do, it's almost like not just grandparents, neighbors also have a say in how we bring up our children, right? So what happens is we feel like sort of lost. We kind of start asking for advice from everybody, and then we start implementing some advice, but without thinking whether this advice will work for us, work for our child, work for our kind of an environment, work for our kind of a learning, our kind of a mindset. So when we put all these things together, things change, right? And in today's times where parents both can be in a place where we have professional atmosphere, where we are working, so we have our office setup, whether we are working from home or whether we go to an office, we are in that space. And at that time, what happens is the child has to take a back seat sometimes. But the thing is, by today when I was coming to this room, meeting room here, I noticed one board on Apollo Hospital in Perungudi. The board was very funny. Like it said, just 1 minute, let me get it, because I don't want to make a mistake in saying this, otherwise Apollo can charge me, right? So the board said, for a mother, her child is important. For us, you both are important. I found this funny. You know why? First of all, they removed the father from this. Is the father not actually having a role in this parenting, first of all? And then next is, why is Apollo saying for a mother the child is important? Is this again something about gender? Yeah, the mother feels a lot more, has a lot more emotions, because the female gender has that thing, but doesn't mean the male gender does not have anything to contribute other than go be the workhorse, provide the bread on the table. That scene has changed. It has come to a place where both do it, or sometimes the dad stays at home and the mom goes to work, to an office, and the dad can be the one who is creating that atmosphere at home where he is doing the I will drop you at school, I will take care of feeding you, I'll take care of your bathing schedule, I'll take care of tutoring you, or I'll drop you and pick you up and all those things, and the mother just goes to the office and comes back. And with this kind of role reversal, what happens is are we at a corporate level acknowledging that role reversal or role changes, or the way the smoothly the roles can exchange it? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in comments about that also. And then what happens is when these children have siblings. Oh God. That's like a war zone, right? When the older one is like, Mummy does not love me anymore. She is always with the younger one. What is Mummy doing? And then the mother is also like, I do not know what to do now that my older one is acting difficult, is being so difficult. I'm trying to say, but they feel like I have taken away my love from them and given it all to the younger one. So it's like, how does the mother and the father along with everyone else, because what happens is this child is suddenly in the care of others, not the person who was a primary caregiver. It can be mummy mostly. And what happens is the others will tell her or him, it's okay, that's a small baby, it's okay, you be with us, that child needs a mother, that's okay, you don't be the sacrificing type, you are older one, so you should be able to understand. And whatever be the age of the child, even if the child is 21 and the mother gave birth to a new one, the 21-year-old child is going to definitely feel, my mother is not for me anymore, I'm having to share my mother with somebody else. Okay, so what happens is, what do we say, how do we say to the child that you're going to be able to understand how we build a relationship? So in the building of the relationship, what is happening is the siblings could be in a place where they understand, learn to give and take. But most of the time it ends up being like sibling rivalry, or one child is ignored to the cost of other, because as humans what happens is we tend to rescue the one we perceive as weak. So it could be the older child or the younger child. Sometimes when we see that one child is weaker than the other, that's a parent who's comparing and seeing this child needs my support more than this child. And then what happens is, in that process, one child starts to feel the loss of the parenting, and the other child takes it in and is looking at the person who is losing it, and I have got it all, you have got nothing, kind of a thing. So that creates a rivalry, right? So how are you managing that? Is there something that you have come up with, some solutions you have come up with? Let's share, let's understand how somebody is doing it and how somebody else is struggling with it. Let's help each other out here, okay? So when I was doing that, I also understood something about anger. Initially, even I had that thing like anger had to be managed. What do you mean anger has to be managed? Why should we manage anger? Where does anger come from? You know, I had a card which I had printed long time ago. I will put it up on my comments or something later on, where it was an anger iceberg. Okay, at the top of the iceberg is anger. It's an emotion. That is what is visible to everybody. So at the top of the iceberg is anger. At the bottom of the iceberg, that which is not visible, meaning anger originated from, is guilt. Could be anxiety, could be feeling of worthlessness, could be overwhelmed, school, homework, work, and how do I manage myself? So many people telling me so many things. I am feeling worthless, I am feeling helpless. Sometimes anger also comes because of hunger. Even when you're older and wiser, what happens is you do not recognize that sometimes you're angry because you're hungry. And I call it hangry. It happens even to my daughter, who is much older than 25, but she doesn't understand that she's hangry till I ask her, are you hungry? And then she says, yeah. So I said, why don't you eat food? And then when she starts eating, I tell her, okay, we will talk after you finish eating food. And by the time she's finished eating food, she looks sheepish and she says, yeah, okay. And she's in a more softer place to talk with. Because when we are very angry, we get into that space where we forget the seat, we forget the people, we forget that they also have their own sensitivities and sensibilities, and we start talking in such a way that it sounds rude and rough and what do I say, not presentable, not acceptable, right? Anger is good. Anger is an emotion. To understand why we are angry is a great thing. And anger alerts us to what? It is like a message. So it is like a response to something. So if we figure what is the anger telling us as a response to what we are angry, it could be a scene where we see something that is unacceptable and we are angry. So then we can be keyboard warriors and we can start angrily doing some trolling or angrily putting up messages and everything. Or we will understand that we are not okay with what's happening and figure out a little more logically, a little bit more wisely, and something that works, that seems to work, and find out a solution. And when we do that, our anger has found a method to be expressed. And when you take anger as a message, why would anybody have to hide their anger? Because children are taught to hide their anger. Tamil சொல்லுவோம்ல கோபப்படாதே சத்தம் போடாதே. So when we are trying to tell, what we are saying is it's not okay, but what was okay we never told. Just like a child who is performing poorly in school, the teacher comes and when we go, the parent goes to the PTA, the teacher says potential irukku, and the parent is like yeah, and the child is looking like from the parent to the teacher and wondering potential irukku, what does it mean? The child never asks, because the child is scared. What is the teacher going to tell? And amma is going to shout at me, or appa is going to shout at me, or whatever is going to happen when we go home, I'm not going to be in a good place or something like that. And then suddenly they are talking about potential, so the child thinks must be good, something good. Okay. And then this gentle parenting thing shifted to schools also. Am I jumping topic to topic? Yeah, this is my first live on this topic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out almost everything that I have been covering with all the parents who have been working with me up to now. What you are going to do is you pick and choose what works for you and write back to me. You have my email ID, you have my phone number, that is my WhatsApp. You can message me on WhatsApp, don't call me, I don't pick up my WhatsApp calls. And or you can put it here on the comments and I will get back to you. Okay. So now about school potential. Okay. So what happens is no one explains to the child what is potential, and like we said, gentle parenting, right? Now what about gentle parenting has translated to school is schools have been told no beating children. Good. No need for all that scale and punishment and standing under the sun and kneeling down and facing the wall. Doesn't work, does it? But anyway, some children have a good sense of humor. They laugh it out and they come out. But we do not know if it is actually affected them somewhere. Maybe some children do not know how to handle this. So this gentle parenting has gone towards schooling also in such a way that the teacher is now unable to handle a child firmly by the teacher is not able to tell the child that is not okay. She kind of thinks, let a parent come, I will write a list and I will present the list and let the parent handle it because I cannot tell anything. And then sometimes a parent does actually handle it badly. They go and complain against the teacher to the school board or something. So the teacher is like, no, I'm not here for that. I didn't sign up for that, so I'm not going to do that. Okay. How do we help the teacher if the teacher needs help? We can be actually as a part of a same team. Whenever a parent comes to me, before they sign up with me, my condition is, remember, you and I are part of the same team working with your child or for your child. You cannot be in the opponent's team. If you are in the opponent's team, we will not sign any agreement right now, because there are times when I may become a little firm, a little bit more strict looking, or a little bit more gentle, and the parent may not agree with my methods. But the parent doesn't know all of my methods. I have worked with a lot of children, and I have also bravely gone towards that place where now those neurodivergent children also turn up and I work with them. I struggle, I will admit I struggle, but I always work my way through. I don't give up on those children. And the first thing I understood is my own anger. My anger comes from frustration. Frustration that I'm not able to do. It's like a bridge. I am standing here, the child is here, and I want that bridge. And sometimes I'm not able to see the bridge. And I think that is exactly what is happening with the child and the parent too, child and the teacher too. That bridge is what the child needs from all of us, right? So I think I found the magic to build the bridge. Every bridge is going to be different because each child is different. For example, everybody got COVID jabs, but everybody did not get the same kind of side effect after the second or third jab or booster jab, right? Because our body, the system, the constituency of our body, everything is different, right? Like that, everything that I can tell now can be a general thing, but particular thing will apply only for your child, which means I have to meet your child. I have to meet you and I have to meet your child. It does not matter whether we are meeting face to face in my space or we can do it online. The thing is, it's not about whether the child talks or not talk. The child does have an ability to communicate. Are we willing to listen is the question. Some children do art as a medium for communication. Some children use music as a medium for communication. Some children actually use plants and bird sounds for communication. I have a child who's like that. He has started to open up at home is what his mother has told me as a feedback. And she was very proud. She said, he's making all the mistakes, but I'm so happy he's actually telling a lot of things aloud. I'm hearing his voice for the first time. I thought my child was a mute one. I actually took him to the doctor to check whether he is mute. So that was a sad thing. Your mother broke down and she said, I know now my child can talk. It's just that no one gave him an opportunity. No, it's not opportunity. No one gave an occasion to talk. No one asked him to talk for anything, because even before he opened his mouth, it was provided, right? So why would he open his mouth and talk? Not all children are born mute. That's a condition that will be taken care of by the pediatrician. But when a child is not talking, examine why. What are you doing to enable that silence? What are you doing as a parent? How much are you talking with your child? It is not a mother's responsibility alone. Let me tell you, this cannot be a team, cannot be one person. A team is at least the whole family, whoever is there, or at least the two, the mother and the father, right? So now, how much are you speaking with your child? Are you drowning yourself into the WhatsApps and the emails and the forwards and the reels as part of your relaxation when you are with your children at home? When you are planning your weekends, you are going to the malls and movies and everything, so that all you're doing is just getting over and providing the entertainment, but actually avoiding that conversation that you can have with child. How many of you have shared your own life stories with your children? I'll tell you, before TV or before this thing where we could go to see movie on a screen every day, we cannot. We have to go to theater, we have to book the ticket, we have to go there, we have to sit and watch and all those things, right? So what will happen is every day during lunch or dinner, we had to all sit together. And after that, my father will start. If we especially ask, Appa, we need some socks, Appa, we need shoes, our bags are torn, or I forgot my lunch bag and it got lost in school and all those things, first scolding will happen. And then he will start, when I was your age, I had only one pair of slippers, and all those stories. We used to go like, oh God, he started again his story. But you still remember those stories, right? Even if you said, oh God, those stories are there in your memory, and there is a memory attached with it and with an emotion. What have you created with your children for that story and that emotion that is only personal? That is something that the child will attach with you, and not with a mall, a movie, or any other space where he thinks he has to share it with you, and there also he has to be silent because you're watching something. You know, every place cannot be a boardroom meeting space. So, what are you creating in that space at home where everybody feels at home? Relationships. How are they affecting your children? How are they affecting your parenting? How are you as mother and father talking with each other? Are you giving that exhibition? Are you showing that I can get angry sometimes, I can get upset sometimes, but I know how to come and make up, I know how to say sorry? Have the children been given a demonstration between the two of you, where one of you has made the mistake and the other says you made a mistake, and the first one accepts it, or the one who made the mistake does not accept it, but the second one says you made a mistake, but I'm going to let it go today, but it's not okay. So the child learns and understands this behavior also, because this child has to step out into the world learning these behaviors and learning to practice it somewhere else with somebody else. And it is not only as a couple. This child has a society, has a peer group, his friends. You know, the thing is, nowadays we are all globetrotters. So we all go out, go settle abroad for some time. If not anything, at least for schooling time, the children will be there, and then we come back home, and then they will want to go to college and all those things. That's part and parcel of life growing up. Nowadays, parents are traveling very young. So what happens is, these children who are in the 6, 7, 8 age group, they have gone to school not in our country, in some other country. Now, it's not just about how we learn. In India, everything is loud. That's what my friends from other countries have told. God, your people are so loud. God, your traffic is so scary. God, your food is so... You know what? They have very less understanding of what we all go through. We take it as common. So when we speak really loudly. We have no problems doing that, to call attention. Hey! We say. But there it is, we have to be very careful, because this amount of conversation can be audible to my neighbor. So we actually have to go and whisper and talk in like this. And that's very funny for us. We do not know how to talk and whisper. Unless it's a secret. And that's scary also for the children, because they don't understand this anymore. And to top it, they have different languages going through their ears, different weather, different uniform, different school, different rules, and everybody is speaking politely. Even the teachers are speaking politely, and the child is scared because that kind of, it sounds very passive aggressive to us. We kind of have a little black and white approach as children, whereas when the adults speak politely to us, we do not know whether they are being kind or whether they are telling us something that we should improve on, and so we do not know who to check with. And the parents are also in a very bad place because their schooling was not there, so they are also trying to tell the child from their understanding of whatever it is. What happens, the children also face these things, cannot eat, take our home cooked food out. There was one mother who had written on Facebook about some other children holding their nose and going, and they are all in pre-KG. So imagine that the child has to understand that they are all laughing at me because of the food I'm carrying and coming home and crying about it. And this is how the food habits change. And some children are managing, they just take it in their stride, but most children cannot. They have to have an understanding of how to handle these kind of talks. You're not going to be setting right everybody there and calling them out, like, you cannot talk like that to my child, you cannot behave like that, you cannot do this. You're in their country, so how do you manage, accommodate, and do the thing? At the same time, yeah, there are some procedures. You can go and complain to the school, you can ask the school for help, you can ask them to support you, and you can also figure out what to do and all those things. At the same time, make friends, have a community, figure out what is happening there, and as soon as a parent builds a community, the child gets absorbed into the community, and the so-called smelly food also will start smelling good. You understand? And our habits here are not acceptable there. Like I said, no, shouting and talking, and then pointing fingers. And then we also have a lot of body language. We shake our heads, we nod our heads. They don't even know whether we are saying yes or no. I have taken it in my stride that now I know that when I'm nodding my head for yes, I do this. When I'm nodding my head for no, I do this. But sometimes I also do this and they don't understand what I'm saying. But that's a language we all have. They don't know that. So, yeah, we can make it fun teaching them about us. There's nothing wrong that no one, other countries need not learn about us, right? So as we are teaching, let's not lose our sense of humor, because that is what is going to keep us in good stead. That is what is going to help us through the whole thing. Otherwise, it's going to be like everything is dragging us down and we are drowning. Right? And then we regret every decision we made, including, why did I marry this man? Because I married this man, I came to this country. Because I came to this country, I had to leave my parents behind. Because I left my parents behind, now I am not having any support system. I cannot leave my children and go anywhere. I have to take my children, and my children are like this. I am getting feedback from everybody. I do not know how to behave and how to do it. And then holiday planning. Everything is expensive here. I cannot spend money. Complaints. All these complaints, and again the same thing happens. The father makes an offhand loose comment, what man, your mother is spending so much money, because he thinks, you know what we Indians have, we'll buy a burger and then we look at it, $8, Bapre, $8, and we convert it immediately to rupees. Imagine $8. Can you eat one burger for $8? Imagine if you convert to rupees, roughly 800 or something, around 700 and 800 rupees, you will not eat, right? So you will be looking like as if I have to savor each bite, each whatever. The person who is going and earning an income starts converting it into rupees, or at least has a conversation with his side of family in India, and they are asking like, what, you're going to hotel and eating, you're spending so much money. They don't know cost of living and all those things. So instead of explaining the cost of living, what happens, this gets translated into telling the wife, this is what my parents told and this is what I think is right, and this is what. So what happens is, there's something called power politics comes in, where one father and one mother are now trying to show who is more powerful than the other. What happens to the child? Forgotten. Because when power play comes, children are forgotten. Children are left to their own devices, and that's when what happens, I believe divorce rates are going up. It's whether the divorce rates are going up or not, splitting up is happening. And then there is violence, one part of life where violence, which I'm not addressing right now, because that takes to another dimension, and that may go into a therapy. So what am I doing? I am a coach. I will work as going forward from now, from today, from this moment. What can we do? What can we change? How can we take it forward? In a therapy, you may have to examine your past. I am not going to go there. I know it may be helpful for some because it's like a baggage you've been carrying. So, in which case, it's best for you to go to a therapist. But if you want to look forward and go forward and do something henceforth, like up to now, whatever I did didn't work, so I just want to put a full stop here and take it forward, then come to me. I'm the coach. I work with children, I work with parents, and right now it is about the 7 to 13 age group which has anger as a issue, and the parent is wondering, my child is so angry, how can I talk to them about anger? And I have heard some parents asking for books. So when we ask, what about books? Why do you need books? No, I can give it to my child, ask him to read it so that he knows this is not okay and this is the behavior that is acceptable and all those things. So then we said, okay, after the book is read, what happens? Your child should know. I mean, suddenly enlightenment happens. Discussion should happen, right? So a book can give some words, a book can give a certain knowledge, but how is a child at 7 going to process that? Your child is intelligent, no doubt. Still, for processing, what is a parent's part here? Are we withdrawing from the child and telling child, you parent yourself? Then what is the word parenting here happening? So, in this case also, the pair-enting is, it's between the mother and the daughter, or mother and the son, or father and the son, or father and the daughter. And at that time, they need the other person who is the older person, who they think is wiser, who they think they can approach in case of any kind of difficulty, who the child thinks is non-judgmental, will be there for them to support them through every mistake, every kind of anything, right? So is your door open for that child to come through? I'm not talking about the door, which they shut and I said, remove the hinges and take the door away. I'm talking about the door which is approachable. Because if today you don't have the ability to allow the child to approach you, soon the child will close their doors and will not allow you to approach them. And both of you will seem unapproachable, and in your mind it is because he did it or it is the other person. Forgetting that somebody could have opened the door or created the door or figured out where the door is or understood there was no door at all in the first place. It was a free space to walk in. So these kind of misunderstandings crop in only when there is no communication. So the channel for communication starts with us, the adult, the older person who gave birth to this new life. And the promise we make to the new life is, come, I am here, I'll take care of you, don't be scared, do whatever you need to, whatever you have to make as mistakes, learn, because that is where your learning actually happens. Because what is success actually is a bad word for me. If you look at it as something where everybody is successful is because there is no failure. Failure is actually the road to success. If you don't fail, you have not learned. It is like if without making a mistake, if you have done, then you will not be able to understand how did I do the first time? Because you need to repeat it second time, you won't know how to do it. But if you failed, you will know what was wrong, how not to avoid that mistake, and then you can go and do it right. That is one. Two is number of iterations. Sometimes some people give up in the first trial. All those children who are aiming for, I have to become this kind of a profession or that kind of a college. I'm not naming any college because a lot of things are changing. But still, that's still there in a lot of heads, right? So what happens is, suppose they did not get through the first time. Is it a failure or is it a feedback? Is it like, okay, this approach that I had did not work, or it's a strategy? And this strategy did not work. So what do? I do try another way. I check with another person who seemed successful. I ask them or I figure out from them how they did it. I can try and put it, I can incorporate something else and I'll see whether that works. It could be like I get up earlier in the morning, or I sleep later in the night, or during the day I don't watch TV, or I give up on something. It can be anything. There can be so many things. And you know what? I have also seen how children learn. Their strategy for learning that the school teaches is school is like mass bulk thing. Just like how one medicine does different things to different people, one teacher giving one kind of education thing or whatever she or he is giving, each child takes it differently based on their level of observation. And notice it in yourself. What you have paid attention to while you are looking at me. Are you listening to me? Are you looking at me? Are you seeing the actions I am making? That itself should say where your attention is. Likewise, the child also has some attention things. Like for example, your child can be auditory, maybe will listen a lot better to music or to words that are said, or will catch it from the thing. So if you find the child sitting next to older people listening, that means be careful when you're talking because your child is listening. That's what they say. Some children are visual, meaning they're so like everything visual distracts them. You understand the word I use, distract, because we tend to buy and pile up toys in their room, make it so colorful, like it's a sensory assault. The child cannot focus on one thing because there are so many senses that are assaulting through the eyes. Likewise, the next thing is doing. Some children just won't sit. You must have heard the teacher tell, no, your son is not sitting at all, always running around. He does his work, but he's always running around. I cannot make him sit, it is not okay. He's going and disturbing his partners, his friends, and all those things. Like that. Some children are kinesthetic. So these kind of learning procedures will also have to be addressed when the teacher is addressing. Most schools don't have that time, or the teacher trained well enough to address. Few teachers have the patience, not all. Then what will happen? How does your son or daughter understand what's happening at school? Tuitions. Tuition is not going to solve the problem. If you figured out what kind of a learner your child is, you can easily provide that kind of a learning atmosphere and your child will pick up. Because in a place where given everything is equal, all children are born with similar abilities. And it's how we channelize the ability based on what kind of, let's say we are starting a garden, okay? You do not know what to provide in the garden. So what will you do? You will go Google, you will ask some people, you will even put up on Facebook, and everybody will give you suggestion, advice, this, that, and everything. And then based on that, you will also say, if you are having lot of money, you will subcontract to somebody and say, you come and do it for me, I will just pay you the money. Or you may say, I want to be involved in it, so I will be the decision maker and all those things. Now, your garden is getting set up. But some things happening, some plants are rotting and falling and you're not sure what's happening. You provided the best care, but still it's happening. Then someone, again you go back to Facebook, Google and all those things, and they'll say maybe you're overwatering. So you don't understand what is overwatering. So you say, I am watering every day. Yeah, that's what you should not do. But it is so hot and sunny in Chennai. I have to water every day, otherwise my plants will droop and die, correct? Then maybe your soil is not good, it is not porous, it is not allowing. So if gardening requires so much of thinking, thought process, so much of dialoguing, imagine that little child that you're bringing into this world. What is the preparation you need to have to do before you even think of having children? So having children is not about proving that you're fertile, because that's what is happening in all families. Get married, when are you going to have children? When is the second child coming? And then afterwards, why is he not doing in school? Why is he behaving like this? Why is it not talking? When are you getting married? Or which college? Blah, blah, blah. Life goes on. But that whole child, one child which is caught in this whole cycle has been ignored. I don't think we need to do that anymore. That was an old way. We can let go of the old way, or we can just put a stop to it, and we can now proceed to the new way differently. Agree? If you agree, let me know what you agree with, and let me know what I can look forward to in communication with you. I have talked in a monologue for 38 minutes. So at the 40th minute, I think I'm going to say bye-bye. And I look forward to hearing back from you, and then we can take forward this conversation, and maybe I'll come back on another live with something that you have given me to talk about, or I'll bring something more to talk about, or I'll talk only about some other topic, whatever works for you works for me. So let me know how you felt, what you saw as insights. I may have talked so much, but there is something that you saw inside your head or inside your mind or in whatever. So that's an insight, and that can take you forward to changing something, or that can take you to a place where you want to discuss it further. So don't hesitate. Write to me. I am there. We will work it together as a team. There is nothing called I am going to advise you. I am never going to be in a position of your advisor. I am not going to be an advisor. I'll help you figure out on all that, that buffet of choices that you have, to tell me what worked for you, what did not work for you, to the point where you will start seeing what actually did work for you. And from there, you can start taking and going forward. And so this is going to be totally insight-based communication, totally insight-based coaching, totally insight-based conversation. And from that, you will take it forward, and you will see how your life transforms. Not only for yourself, actually when one person transforms in the house, the whole family transforms. It happens, it is true. You have to just trust the process and just get into that space where you understand what is happening and want to work for it. It will all work. I assure you of that. Okay, so have a good day. Bye bye.